All right, let's talk about what might just be the single most crucial skill you need to get through the modern world. It's something called perspective agility. You've been there, right? Scrolling through your feed and it just feels like a minefield. Everyone seems so angry all the time. But what is actually going on? Why does every single topic, no matter how small, turn into an absolute battleground? Well, here's the thing. The digital world we live in is really bad at nuance. Think about it. We're reacting to a single headline, a 30-second video clip, a tweet. All the context, the tone of voice, the body language, it's just gone. And without that nuance, our brains get pushed into these black and white us versus them corners.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll touch on this modern dilemma. Then, we'll get practical. We'll explore how to think like a scientist, how to use this as a professional superpower, and finally, how this all helps build a more resilient you.
So, the solution we're talking about is perspective agility. And let's be clear, this isn't about not having opinions or being indecisive. It's the total opposite. It's a skill. It's this active, conscious choice to see your first reaction and just say, okay, that's one possibility. What are the others? So, let's dive right in. How do we actually use this skill to fight back against all that polarization we see online? The key is to start thinking a little bit more like a scientist. Okay, so the psychologist Adam Grant breaks this down beautifully. Most of us, most of the time, are in what he calls a preacher or prosecutor mindset. Our beliefs are sacred truths, and anyone who disagrees is a threat to be attacked. But the scientist mindset? That's totally different. Your beliefs aren't truths, they're hypotheses. And disagreement? That's not a threat, that's data. It's a chance to learn something new. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. A short, inflammatory clip drops on social media, it goes viral. Within minutes, thousands of people are piling on with outrage. The narrative is set in stone before anyone even knows what's really going on. It's a perfect trap.
But this is where the agile scientific mind kicks in. It just pauses. Before jumping into the fray, it asks some simple questions. What's the full story here? Is there another source for this? And maybe the most important one, am I just emotionally reacting or am I actually thinking? Just taking that breath is your best defense against getting swept up in the outrage cycle.
Okay, so that's the big public stuff. But what about at work? Especially now, with so much remote communication, this skill becomes an absolute superpower.
And the tool you use here is something called cognitive empathy. Now, this isn't about feeling all your coworkers' feelings. It's simpler. It's about being able to intellectually understand their point of view. It's about trying to see the situation from their screen, not just your own.
And here is the perfect example. Oh man, we've all gotten this one. You've worked for hours on a detailed project update, you send it over feeling pretty good about it, and this is the reply you get. Fine, thanks. And boom, your brain just goes into a spiral, right? The immediate reaction is to fill that huge gap in context with pure negativity. They hate it. They're mad at me. My work is terrible. We automatically assume the worst.
But an agile perspective flips the whole script. It starts asking, what if? What if they're just slammed with a deadline and being grief? What if their communication style is just super direct? Or what if fine literally just means it's fine, no problems? See, this simple shift can save you so much anxiety and prevent a ton of misunderstanding. All right, we've looked out at society, we've looked at work, now let's bring it all the way in. Let's talk about you. Because this might be the most important place to apply perspective agility in building your own personal resilience.
This right here is the whole game. So often we wrap our identity up in our opinions. If someone criticizes our idea, it feels like they're criticizing us. But what if you started treating your opinions more like possessions, things you hold that you value but that aren't you? Then when someone challenges an idea, it's not a personal attack anymore, it's just feedback.
To really see this in action, just look at professional forecasters. These are people whose entire job is to be right about the future. And their average accuracy, get this, is 42%. 42. That's literally worse than flipping a coin. So their success clearly isn't about always being right. It's about what they do when they're wrong. The best forecasters don't make excuses or get defensive. They see a wrong prediction as a gift. They admit the error, they dig in to figure out what they missed, they update their thinking with that new information, and they make a better call next time. They don't just bounce back, they bounce forward. That is resilience. And that's really what all of this is, you know? Every time you pause before reacting online, every time you consider another explanation for a weird email, every time you admit you might have been wrong about something, you're doing a rep. You're building that mental muscle. These are your mental push-ups.
So I'm going to leave you with a little challenge. Think of one opinion you hold pretty strongly. Could be anything, big or small. Now, what would happen if, just for this week, you stopped treating it like a sacred truth and started treating it like a hypothesis, something to be tested? What new information would you go looking for?